Okay, in this project we'll be designing a birthday flyer. We're going to use Google Slides to create this birthday flyer. This example would look like. I'll show you that you'll have a copy of it to look at any time you want to. So I'll choose Escape. And so you're actually first log into Skyward, of course. And I'm only showing this for A1, but it's the exact same thing for A2, okay? So what you can do, I've shown you before, you have the three options: calendar, you have this modules down here, or you actually can view the to-do list. I like the calendar because I can see when things are due. And you can see the birthday flyer is due on Friday. So I can click the link, or I can click on the words there and actually take the assignment. So it says you were to use this blank Google slide to create a birthday flyer. This is the project. This project is the tutorial. So you're learning how to do things. So I want you to follow along with me pretty closely to be able to create a flyer that's very similar to this. So you are going to create a birthday flyer to start with. And then the next project is the extension project, where you get to, of course, use Google Slides again to create whatever flyer you would like to. Okay? And so you'll click on this link when you actually start the flyer. But I want to explain some things. So this idea of this, this is the idea I want to go across. So we are using Google Slides and not starting in Photoshop because I want to get across this point to you. Because graphic design, you can see, is the idea of graphic design is not dependent on using a computer. And also, graphic design does not have to be done in Photoshop, parentheses Photoshop. So you can do graphic design in many different ways. The computer and Photoshop are just tools to help you create your designs. So in this class, we will be working in Photoshop more than other things. But I first want you to understand that graphic design can be done in many different ways. You can cut out a piece of paper and paste them down. You can do graphic design using Paint. You can actually use graphic design in many different ways. Okay? Like drawing out things on a sheet of paper. So you can actually use graphic design in many different ways. So I'm going to go back, and this is an example that we're doing in Google Slides. Again, you're creating this example tutorial with me. Then the next project we'll do next week is actually the extension, where you get to create whatever kind of flyer you'd like to. Okay? So we've gone back to this assignment. We're going to click on this link. It will take you to this this assignment here. And so you have this example to show you. It's exactly like this example. So that way you can see it at any time you want to. And then you have this is basically your blank canvas, blank slide to start with. Okay. So I'm going to go to this. If it shows up with this information here, you just click and drag and highlight it, and then you can delete it. Okay. So you can delete that way. So we have to first start with, because we can look here at the example, this is a little bit different size than this. Okay. So what we need to go down to page setup, and right now we just show custom, and this is 11 by 8.5, and that's basically a sheet of paper. Oh, not 0, 5. Okay, so a standard sheet of paper is 11 by 8.5 by 11, and so we're just turning on the side, so make it 11 by 8.5. Okay, so that makes it actually that size there. And so that way, when you print it out, you always have to keep in mind like how your end product is going to be printed out, or if it's on a web or something like that. But if we're printing this out, we need to actually make it a standard sheet of paper size. So that's why we made 8.5, 11. Okay. So you always have to keep that in mind when you're actually doing your designs. Okay. So first, we're going to start with actually choosing the background color. So I chose this kind of light blue here. So she's done. I want to show you some. This is going to get into like color contrast things when you actually have a background color and text on top of it. Say if I chose like a a yellow color, this bright yellow color, and say I want to choose some text on it to make a text box on it. But maybe the text that I'm putting on here, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to put that as maybe a really light yellow. It's very hard to see. Like, you almost cannot see that text. Even if I make it larger here, I'll make the text larger. It's still really hard to see. I can make it 18, like even 48. It's still really, really hard to see. You kind of have to squint a little bit and you're like, okay, what does it say there? So that's the importance of actually choosing the right color to have contrast to be able to see what your information is, right? So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go back and choose the correct background color that we want to make it more of like a birthday color, you know, birthday celebration. So I choose this blue here. Again, it's not super important you do the exact same thing. I want you to stay very close to this, you know. Since this is a tutorial, the extension is where you get to use your creative ability to create whatever fly you want to. But you want to choose this color blue here, and so we're going to start with actually finding some different images. So if we're doing the design process, we do the thumbnail sketch and decide like, okay, what kind of flyer we want to do, what are we going to look like. So we've actually done that step. So this is more of that rough layout stage, or the presentation layout. Is now we've actually done the research. We know exactly what images we want. So say like the birthday flyer, so we probably want a birthday cake, stuff like that. So we're going to choose different images we can use to actually start creating our flyer. So this is the presentation layout. It's basically anytime you're working in the computer or Photoshop or anything like that, it's a presentation layout. So I'm going to start with actually choosing the insert here, image, and then search the web. So this is where we're going to use. So we're going to start with a birthday cake. Yeah, I think. And you want to make sure and use the background has to be transparent like this. So if I choose an option, an image there, that doesn't have a, let's see if this one does. Yeah, that actually does have a background. It's white there. Let's say I should choose like for instance, like we choose like a regular picture. You're not going to choose this picture, right? Since it's square like this. And so you need to have the background is actually transparent so I can see the blue around it. So it just shows up the picture, the image of the birthday cake. So a lot of times clip art and not a real picture is actually easier because the picture is just square here. So the clip art is usually the best way to create different images like this. Okay. So I think we actually choose, I choose a star also. Choose a star, and then a musical note, I think. I think I used this note right here, and I think I used this note right here too. Yeah, those two notes here. So again, I'm going to make all these smaller. Of course, they're not going to be big like this. Small. Again, this is something I kind of didn't go for. If you're using the top and the bottom, it's going to squish your things. You see how it squishes that birthday cake? And so this looks weird, right? So I'm going to undo both of those. So if I'm resizing this to keep the same height and width proportions, and I'll talk about this a few different times in this class, grab the corners. This is the same whether you're in Photoshop or any kind of graphic design software. Grab the corners of the box and it will resize your image and keeps the same proportions. Same thing with a star. Grab that and go over here. And the musical note. Okay. I'm going to make the birthday cake a little bit bigger actually. Let's put it right here. And make it like a little bit bigger. There we go. So this star and the musical note are actually going to be small here. What I did, I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but this example here, I've just copied the musical note, like this one musical note, and this other musical note, and the stars. I just copied them. So you just go to yours, and I click copy, and then I go and choose paste. So I have another star here. And then make it a little smaller. And if I wanted to rotate them, like some of these are rotated a little bit, you know. I wouldn't rotate them too much because if you go rotate it like too much, then it looks a little bit off. It doesn't look like a musical note anymore. So I would keep that more like like almost vertical, but just kind of like a little bit off. It creates a little bit kind of feeling to it. So the same thing with these. So any one of these images you can rotate a little bit. Okay, so I would just make them smaller, right? On this example, I just made it smaller. And then we just added the musical note and the stars. Okay, I think the last thing we added was the, let's see, I'm referring to this again. Oh, the balloons and the streamers. Okay, so I think we added a, let's see, I spelled it wrong. Yeah, pin and bin. Oh, and I think I used a clip art because clip art is, these are actual pictures of it, and it's hard to use those. So I'm going to use the clip art version, and I used like this one right here. So this one, I'm going to actually make it bigger, of course, but I'm going to actually grab the corners of this. We're not distorting it too much. Sometimes that would be too much, but this one, I'm not distorting it a lot. So I'm just making a banner, like a little banner is going up above like this kind of thing. And this is something also that I'm actually going to talk about. This is actually the order of the order of things. So right now this banner is on top of the musical notes. But if I want the banner on the bottom, I right click and choose order and choose send to back or send backwards. So if I choose send backwards, there's like this image, the musical note, the birthday cake, they're all different layers basically, and so I can actually put it in between, or I can put it all the way to the back, and that's what I'm going to do, is put it all the way to the back. So it's all the way to the back. And so now I can actually select that musical note and move it around, because before I'd only select the banner. And you can see here, like if I change that and make it go to front, then I can't select the musical note because I'm only selecting the banner, right? So I have to make the banner go to the back before I can select that musical note. If I want to just bring it on here, of course I can just select it on here because the edge of the image is only right here. So I can select the musical note anytime. But like the star, it would not be selected. It'd be able to be selected. Okay. What else do we have? Balloons there. Okay. So let's actually use the balloon. Yeah, balloon clip art. And I'd like this one here, the group of balloons. I'm just dragging it onto here. And so I can just, you know, these balloons, I just copied it. I made two groups of balloons. Paste. Maybe make this one a little bit larger. So go over there. And I can make this. See, I can't select it. I have to make sure the order is right. To birthday cake, and I can bring that to the front, or I can bring that to the back. Either one to do. So that way, and I don't want things to go off the edge there, so I'm going to crop them. I'm going to right click and say crop, and I can crop this out a little bit right there. Yeah, and I'll crop this over here. So I'm just showing you some things, like maybe I'll then take this and crop it as well. So I can crop that out. So the last thing we're doing is adding, we have some streamers thing. Yeah. I don't like these streamers here because I've made that streamers. Then those streamers, there's too much going on. I can't see what I'm doing there, because even if I put that in the back, I'm not gonna be able to see. There's too much going on. It's too busy, right? So I kind of like these streamers here. Then this is actually just streamers that allow you to kind of show stuff on the side there, but then still allow some things to happen in the middle where your text is going to be. Maybe go up a little bit. So I'm distorting this a little bit, but not too much. I'll make this go here. Yeah, so that way at least I'm ruin here if I made my text and everything. So the last thing we're gonna do is add some text there. So I just made a text box here, and I would actually, it's a little easier at the beginning if you just make it centered and say like, what do we say there? Come celebrate my birthday. So you just type in your text. And then just make my birthday there. And then if I select the box, that selects all the text. And so I can make that, I like the permanent marker and maybe make it like 48 or something. So that your text box has to be big enough for the text. Otherwise it groups them all together. So, and you can grab any one of these these like little dot here and rotate it a little bit. So that rotates it, and I can move that. So if I select in the middle, it just gives me a cursor and I can't move the text here. But if I select the box, then it allows me to move that text. Okay. Then like say I will move that up a little bit more. Then make another text box and say like, I think we actually added some different things. And you can make it all just one thing here. You can actually make it all. So you can just say like, you know, Amy's birthday party, like this. And I think I underlined it. So you're gonna click on the box that selects all the text. Let's make it bold. Let's make it like 18. Then I can make it underlined. Let's say I want to choose a different font. Let's say I choose kind of like a playful font kind of thing. I like permanent markers too. Yeah, I like this one, Gloria Hallelujah. It's kind of fun. So I'm going to make that a little bit large too. Maybe 24. So I can actually make it all separate text box, or I can make it all the same. Whatever you want to do there, it's fine. So like maybe you can just put where and when and the same thing. So where is 1200 and see, I'm making it the same text box. I go to when and then like September 19th. Okay, like that. Or if I want to actually, you know, highlight it all and then make it centered, you know, something that's centered there. And then I can click in the box. I can make all of it like the same kind of font, you know. And I made it 28, I think, 28 or 24. So it's a little bit scrunched. Let me make it longer so it doesn't go. If the text box is not big enough, it just will actually go to the next thing here. Will actually indent, I guess, or just, you know, actually go to the next thing. So that's a good thing. I like it. It's a little bit light there because the text is, it doesn't read too well, and so I'm going to make it bold so it actually going to stand up a little more. So I can rotate it. This one I actually could rotate it all separately, or I can rotate it, you know, all together like this. With text, I would probably tend to keep it more like vertical, you know, not like if you're too skewed like this. It's going to be like you're going to be angling your head the whole time. So you don't want your audience to have to do that. So you're going to keep it more like, let's say like this. And then rotate again like this. Yeah. So yeah, it's not the exact same as my example of here, but it's close. Okay. And so when you spend this time and actually make that, you know, spend this time and make it really nice. Okay. And at the very end, you actually just click. This has a button right here that says "Turn In," and then it will get your assignment and where I can actually grade it. Okay. And that finishes this assignment.